Well, now that we've seen what Paul's praying, that he hopes to be true, and we've seen that this prayer is going to link itself to a result in walking a manner worthy to the Lord, pleasing Him in all respects, Paul continues on and he says, all right, let me show you what this life is going to look like. What can you say about it? And how is it really going to be lived? And we pick up in the second part of verse 10, he said, at the end of the first part, he says, to please Him in all respects. And he says, bearing fruit in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God, strengthened with all power according to His glorious might for the attaining of all steadfastness and patience. And we're going to look at each of these little sections here. So when Paul says, I want you to live a manner pleasing in all respects, he says, well, what's this going to look like? This is going to be something that is bearing fruit in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God. Now, the first part of that, let's look at it. What does it mean to bear good fruit? Well, you're going to be active, yeah, because we've seen we need to be doing something. Can you be active and bear bad fruit? Yeah, I think some of us, a lot of us can be, I'm really busy and things aren't going well. There's not a lot of good fruit coming out of this. If you really think about it, a lot of good fruit you might be able to summarize, say, it's profitable, it's edifying to others. Now, sometimes it's edifying in a way you got to deal with a difficult situation, so it's not always positive, but it's still going to build up because that's ultimately what a correction is going to do, if it's received, of course. And so when he says, I want you to please Him in all respects, bearing good fruit in every good work, there's an implication here that when we labor, we don't labor for vain things. We labor for things that are profitable and they're matching our knowledge and wisdom of the will of God. We look at it and say, what would God have me do in this situation? God hasn't given us a rule book for every situation. He's given us wisdom and understanding. Here is who I am. Here is how I'm carrying out things. Therefore, this is what you should be like. So here's your situation. Figure it out. Use the understanding that I've given you, and now you're going to live out life that is going to be bearing good fruit in everything you do. And I know a lot of people go, you mean I don't have a set of rules? Well, we do have some things that God says do and don't do, but a lot of times God doesn't give us the answer. We want, Pastor, what do I do? The pastor may be able to help you, may not. You're the one in the situation. God says, I want you to increase in knowledge. I want you to walk in a manner. I want you to bear good fruit, not, just do what the pastor tells you. That's not necessarily profitable, edifying, or even bearing good fruit. A lot of us would love that because, pastor said so, I'm out of the picture. No, that's not what Paul wants for these guys. That's not what we should want for each other. And this is hard. It's hard for us to say, what does my life look like? Because, by now, as I'm studying through here, I'm going, wow, I really need to work on a lot of things. I need to understand what's going on. So it's not being busy for God. But it's, if we ask ourselves a question, what am I doing that's bearing good fruit? Maybe I should be doing more of those things. Not, gosh, I need to be busier. Because sometimes doing less actually produces good fruit when doing more doesn't. You rush through something, you do something sloppy. Try baking a cake and rushing through it. You're not going to have a very good cake. If you slow down a little bit, it might take longer, it may take away from other things, but you're going to have a good cake at the end. It's going to bear good fruit if you slow down. And sometimes we got to speed up because we're just sort of sitting there going, I'm not doing anything, fruit bearing's not happening. Get up and let's start moving. But here's where that feedback loop, when that circle and helix I mentioned earlier, it's not just bearing good fruit in every good work. It says, and increasing in the knowledge of God. And you go, well, wait a second, I thought I was supposed to already have that knowledge, and therefore it's going to produce this walk, and then it's bear good fruit, but now I'm increasing in knowledge again. Okay, there's my circle. Well, he says in increasing. So it's really a helix. That's really what he's saying. I want your life to be progressively moving forward, not just looking like it's spinning in a circle. And sometimes we think it is because the helix is a really tight one, not making much progress in understanding the knowledge of God. But think about this. The way this is written in what's referred to as an instrumental case. An instrumental means a means of something. So in other words, in this good work, And these are the means you're going to say, here's what I thought I understood. Here's the good works that are bearing fruit. And I'm now learning more about God. I'm increasing in Him because I see how He works in these things. I begin to understand, well, if that was a statement, here's the reality. Wow, I really can trust. I really can grow. That is what it's supposed to be because this is what He's told me. And this is the way I'm supposed to live. In other words, we're increasing in the knowledge of God. So it's a natural feedback. Our life understood, lived out in the way that's pleasing and honoring and acceptable and bearing good fruit is going to help us know more about God. And the more we know about God, the more we can understand in the knowledge and wisdom and spiritual. And it's just going to keep on going. It goes one way and comes all the way back again. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what Paul says. That's what I want for you, Colossians. That's what we should be praying for each other. It's really important that we do that. So, if you really think about it, we get to participate and understand better the plans and purposes of God. He doesn't reveal everything to us, but He's revealed a lot to us. Here's what I want. Here's what I'm trying to achieve. Be part of it. As you're going. Make disciples. Let them see your life. Let them be able to evaluate. Wow, who is this Jesus? Man, this must be somebody really worthy because I see in your life this person is worthy and you please them and you walk in a manner worthy and you bear good fruit. Wow, maybe I should know more about this God. This Jesus, and what it means to be really a Christian, not a church person, because there's a big difference between a church person and a Christian. The third thing is, all right, we're all charged up, we want to go, we're going to go do it, I'm going to be fruit bearing. And what's the first thing goes wrong with that? Yeah, I am going to do it. I've got to work myself up. Right, exactly. And that's the problem. Paul goes, okay, Colossians, let me explain something to you first. Yes, you need to do this. You need to be part of the team. But look what he says next. Strengthened with all power according to His glorious might. It's not our power. We can't do it on our own. So if we sit back and you say, well, this is too much, you're right, it is. If we try to do it by ourselves, if we try to do it on our own, not that we don't try to do, it's not that you don't try to do, it's do it yourself. He says, nuh-uh. You need to be strengthened with all power according to His glorious might, not ours. We don't have the strength. So that's the neat thing is He says, I want you to do this, but I'm with you. I want you to go out and bear fruit, and I'm going to be with you. Because you're going to need that strength. You're going to need that might. You're going to need that power because you can't do it. The world will beat you down. You're going to want to give up. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to want to go, I don't care about good fruit. I want to stomp on those grapes. He says, no, be empowered, strengthened with all power according to His glorious might. But really, there's something beautiful about it. We actually get something back out of all that. Up to this point is I'm doing and going and bearing fruit and doing all these other types of things. I'm learning more about God and understanding how it is. But He says there's a positive result for you and me. And that's so cool. Because He says, what's happening? You're going to do this and you're going to be strengthened for what? The attaining of all steadfastness and patience. And it's pretty neat because that team effort is now going to produce something in us. We are going to get a positive benefit out of it. I don't know about you, but if you just look at these two characteristics, all steadfastness. So when life comes at you, Colossians, when life comes at you, brothers and sisters, this type of life develops all steadfastness. And you're really going to stand strong here. And the word is in the Greek is hupomone, which basically means the ability to endure under difficulties without succumbing. It's not just, oh yeah, I can stand there all day. It's like when it comes at you, when life gets tough, you can stand. I can stand. So it's this beautiful feedback. Again, go back. It's subjunctive. It's conditional. It might happen, but it will happen if these things become true. He says that what you're going to have is steadfastness. And the second thing that you're going to have is patience. And that word is Macrosomia, which basically means the ability to endure under a long time under difficulties without retaliating or failing to live in a worthy manner. You might also translate it sort of long suffering. In other words, I can deal with it for a long time. Steadfastness, and I'm dealing with this stuff. Well, and you say, well, I'm just patient. Well, what happens when you lose your patience? What happens when I lose my patience? When patience ends, guess what happens? Retaliation, failing to live in a godly way. We're not walking in a manner. Patience is an amazing thing. Patience says, I can deal with this. Steadfastness says, I'm sticking in it in difficult times. And patience says, I'm going to continue to endure it. And how am I going to endure it? I'm going to endure it without failing and striking back. Because if I lose my patience, boy, watch out. So all of the things that Paul is praying for the Colossians, especially the pressure they're under, this attack, this doubting, this questioning, he says, here's how you deal with it. Here's how you fight it. And it's going to produce steadfastness. It's going to produce patience in your life because it's going to be one that is worthy. And so we're going to close out this section in our next section here, and we're going to see that this is going to end up with praise back to God. Just as he's opened with it, he's going to come back to it and say, and this is going to be a joyous thanksgiving to the Father. And we're going to look at that next.